Now, for those who haven't seen part one and part two, that basically the Watchtower put this black guy on a book with a subliminal penis, and he's staring at the miner. And when this information was exposed online, Watchtower then removed the black guy and replaced him with a white guy. So you can clearly see that Watchtower removed the guy with the subliminal penis. So as far as the sign language, in my last video, we discovered how there's a subliminal S right next to the black guy's lips. Then above the S, there's an E, or it appears that this is an E because the boy's pinky finger's behind his book, which could make that an E. So we have the S, and we didn't know if that was an E, but we said that if there's a letter X somewhere on this book, that would spell the word sex. And a lot of times the word sex is subliminally put in images. So one of my subscribers that I'm assuming knows sign language had mentioned that the X is the blonde woman's hand. That when you take your hand and put all your knuckles in like that, and then make a hook with your index finger, that apparently that is how you sign the letter X. So if that is correct, then you see it spells sex upward, S, E, and then she's signing X. And then another subscriber had mentioned that the miner is the only one that's holding her songbook with two hands. So this subscriber made that comment. Why is she the only one holding her songbook with two hands? As you can see, everybody else specifically is using only one hand. They made it very obvious that you can see they're all only holding their book with one hand, except her. So why is she using two hands to hold her book? So then another subscriber who seen that comment and also seen the comment that that was an X in sign language, a subscriber said that her hands, the two hands like that, she's signing more, as in she wants more. So that's what we're going to discuss. Is she signing more? And is that the letter X? Because if it is the letter X, the odds are impossible that you would have an S, an E, and just by chance she's making the sign of X, that would conclude that that is indeed the word sex. So now that I showed you from the physical book, now I'm going to show you some information online to get to the bottom of this. So we're going to pick back up at the end of part two. So now we're on point number 17. The book covering the boy's pinky makes the letter E. Now, we discussed this in the last video, but we couldn't conclusively say that his hand is actually an E, because that, however, is not sign language, but because that appears to be an S, that the fact that the boy's pinky is behind the songbook, that one little detail leaves only three fingers exposed, making it that it could be an E. So I had said that if there's an X anywhere, then we could say for sure that that is an E. So now that we've found the X, I'm making point 17 the fact that that indeed is an E based on the fact that he has just his pinky behind his book, making the letter E. So now we're on point number 18. The blonde woman is signing the letter X and sign language. So let's see, is this really the letter X and sign language? You can see if it is, what it spells. So here's a picture online that shows how to make the letter X. As you can see that the way that the thumb is folded in and the other fingers are down, and then the index finger comes out making that little hook. So that's just one example of the letter X. And here's another one of an actual human hand. And you can see that that looks very similar to what the blonde woman was doing on a songbook. Even though the position of the hand is from a different angle, you can see that the fingers and the hook is in the same position. And this is a cartoon showing the same thing, right? So I just want to make it clear that that is the sign for X. So now let's watch somebody do a demonstration on how to make the letter X.
X. I like to think of Captain Hook, and X marks the spot. X.
Now you notice when she has her hand down in that hook position, that looks exactly how the woman is holding her songbook. Because when the X is raised up, it is going to look slightly different from the angle. But when you look at it from that angle, it looks just like the songbook. Now let's take a look at another one.
Close that all off. Take your index finger and just make it a little bit crooked here. So you can see it from the side angle.
And as you can see again, it's the same position. Now, even though her finger looks like it's higher, it's just because of the way that it's tilted up. And we'll look at one more just to make it clear.
Letter X. Fold down your middle, ring, and pinky fingers. Wrap your thumb across your middle finger. Bend the first and second knuckle of your pointer finger.
So you can see they're all the same. So when you look at these side-by-side comparisons, it's the same thing. Now, as you notice that the two women on the left side, that it looks like the space is a lot larger, but that's just kind of like an optical illusion. It depends on how you're holding your hand. And as you can see that the woman closest to the woman on the songbook, putting that kind of downward as if she was holding a songbook, you could see more so the way that it looks. And it pretty much looks the exact same thing. But the main thing is that the fingers have to go in, except the index finger comes out with a space making a hook. And again, also keep in mind it's subliminal messaging, so they're not going to have her maybe index finger come out way too high, because it's more so they want to kind of put it in there so that you don't really notice it. And here is just some more comparison. So you can basically see that that is the sign for X. And that is exactly what the blonde woman on the songbook is doing. She specifically just has that index finger making that space while her other fingers are closed in like a fist, specifically how to sign the letter X. Now, for those who have not seen part 2 of this video, this is why that's significant. Because again, we said in the last video that we found the S and we think that's an E in the boy's hand, but we couldn't say that for certainty unless there's a letter X. Now, what are the odds that just by chance This woman happens to be signing the letter X right below the boy's hand and a subliminal S spelling sex. And when you look at other subliminal messages that have the word sex and plant it in the image, and you can just look it up online, it's always in a row like that. Whenever they want to subliminally put sex in a picture, and this is any organization, it's always in a row. So how could that be by chance that she just happens to be signing the letter X? I mean, there's one, why is she doing sign language to begin with? But there's 26 letters in the alphabet. Out of 26 letters in the alphabet, she just happens by chance just to be making the letter X by coincidence. And she happens to just be doing it right at the end of what we see as an S and an E. So her making that sign language sign of X concludes for a certainty that that is a subliminal S right on the black guy's lips, followed by the E and the X. And then we know that Watchtower removed the evidence of the subliminal S. So I mentioned in my last video that they took the S out, which made it more obvious it must have been something hidden. But now that we see the X, you can see why they took the S out. You see, when they removed the black guy with the penis, they also removed the S. So now this image on the newer songbooks, you can see that now the word sex isn't there because they removed the S just like they removed the guy with the penis. And one point that I want to make is that some Jehovah's Witnesses will say that, well, the only reason they took the black guy out is because apostates think it looks like a penis. Well, first of all, since when does the governing body do anything on account of apostates? Right? They don't do anything on it. So they're not gonna reprint this whole book because apostates online are saying it's a penis. They're not going to do that unless unless they know it really is a penis. Now, if any Jehovah's Witnesses claim, okay, well, it does look like a penis, but they just removed it because it looks that way, right? But it was an accident. But why did they remove the subliminal S that's hidden? Right? You see, once again, Watchtower tells on themselves. You see, you can't simply say, well, they removed the black guy because it looks like a penis, but then why did they get rid of the S? You see, they know what they're doing. And you notice when they replaced the black guy with the white guy, they placed them in his spot exactly, right? So nothing has changed on the black guy's wife. Nothing has changed in the rest of the picture, right? So they easily could have left the boy's sleeve just the way that the artist originally drew it, unless they're covering up the fact that subliminal S. And as you look at how they covered it up, they completely changed the sleeve. Completely changed it. It's not just that the white guy is in front of it, the shape of that part of the sleeve is different. So they went out of their way to take the S out. So nobody can say they just removed the black guy because people thought it looked like a penis. Not only did they take the black guy out, but they even took the S out. So they know exactly what they're doing. And by taking the S, now the word sex is no longer there. So that's very deliberate. Now, some of my subscribers in my last video had mentioned that the white guy now, because they took the S out and they changed the boy's sleeve, they said it now looks like this guy's tongue is sticking out. Now, I can't count this a point because this is one of those things where they could say it's just a coincidence, right? So this one, it may not be nothing to it, but at the same time, you got to think about how sick Watchtower is. It does subliminally look like the man's tongue is sticking out. I mean, is that a way to Watchtower is like giving us the middle finger? Like, are they throwing a temper tantrum because they had to get rid of the guy with the penis? So, like, this is what they do, like, just being childish, like, okay, now he's sticking out his tongue. in a perverted way. So I don't know. It does kind of look like that, but I mean, it could just be a coincidence. But with these people, are there any coincidences? So I don't know. So now this is point number 19. The girl is signing more and kiss on lips and sign language. So let's dive deep into this. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of my subscribers noticed that out of all the people in a songbook, only the little girl's holding her book with two hands. Why is that? Right? Why is it so clear that everyone is holding their book with one hand except her? So when you know the way subliminal messages work and how many different things are wrong with this photo, then it's definitely something noteworthy that she's the only one that for some reason is holding her book with two hands. So then after he made that comment, another subscriber had mentioned in connection with the X sign language that when she heard this other comment that the girl's holding her book with two hands, she right away thought of sign language. And I don't know if she also knows sign language or she went to look it up, but then she said she is signing more, as in she wants more. So is that the sign language sign for wanting more? Well, let's find out. So apparently, when I looked up more, that this seems to be one of the main words in baby sign language, because apparently babies will want to know how to say, like, if they want more milk or, whatever it is that they need. So it seems like this more sign was a lot connected a lot to baby sign language. But when I looked at this photo, I thought that this baby looks like he's doing the exact same things as the girl, right? The more sign. Her fingers look identical to the baby's fingers. So, and again, why is she the only one that's holding her songbook with two hands? Apparently, it does look like it's more sign language, but let's look at some other photos to be positive about this. Here's another one where you can just see that is how you say more in sign language.
You're going to take all 5 fingers on both hands. You're going to draw all the fingers together, and you're going to point them at one another, and you're going to tap back and forth. Now you can physically tap them, but that's not necessary. You can also just have them going close together like that. I suggest you do that.
And you can see how she's demonstrating it, right? That the fingers got to come together to say more, just like how she's holding her songbook. And why is she the only one holding her songbook with two hands?
Kiss versus more in American Sign Language.
So this one is quite interesting. Notice what she says.
More. More. The flat O hand shape. More. Want more? Do you want more? More, please. More.
Now, what was really interesting about this video is that, so she then goes on to say that the sign for kiss is basically just about the same thing. So then I thought, okay, is it more or kiss that the little girl is saying in sign language?
Kiss. Kiss. Same hand shape. Kiss. The difference, more, kiss. Notice the lips pucker a little for not more, but for kiss. Plus, more is more in neutral space. Kiss tends to be a little bit higher up. And the lips. The sign kiss you can move to show kissing how or where. For example, smooching is different from a peck. Also, maybe the cheek, a kiss on the cheek. Or the top of the head or the nose. Kiss. Again, more, more, one more, kiss, kiss.
I noticed she said that the lips pucker a little bit with the kiss sign. Now, I noticed on a songbook that it does seem like the little girl's lips are kind of fuller than the rest of the people. I don't know why, but they seem kind of like a little bit big for a little girl. So I don't know if maybe that's part of the pucker thing that they made her lips like she's, I don't know, like making a kiss. But that's what the expert said, that with the kiss sign, the lips pucker a little bit. So clearly that she's the only one holding the songbook with two hands. And when you've seen the sign language or the sign for X, clearly this is the same thing. So is it more or kiss? Now, what's interesting about these two signs is that you really can't tell because it's basically how you bring your hands together that makes the difference of more and kiss. So with a still photo on a songbook, we really can't tell, is it more or is it kiss? But the fact that these two signs are so similar, more and kiss, and this is the one that Watchtower chose to put in a sick image, I think she's saying both of them. I think more in a sexual way, more sex, because sex is the word that's subliminally in the photo, and she's saying kiss. And as you can see, that there's no question about it that that's the sign that she's making. And what are the odds that you're going to have two people on the back of the songbook that happen to be making the exact signs and sign language, both with sexual messages? What are the odds of that? It's impossible. Those odds are impossible. So I don't know how much more evidence that Jehovah's Witnesses need to just admit that this is deliberate. I mean, now I'm on point number 19. I don't think I have to make another video because I really think we dissected everything on the songbook. I mean, 19 different subliminal things pointing to this pervertic image with the guy with the penis staring at the minor. I mean, how many more points do you need to just admit the fact that this is deliberate? All these things, these 19 things that were brought out in the last 3 videos, it's impossible that it's a coincidence. And what makes it the strongest evidence is the fact that Watchtower then got rid of the evidence like they always do. And if anybody says, oh, they just got rid of the penis because it looks like a penis, but that's not what it is, they just did it because people thought that, then why did they get rid of the subliminal S that spells sex? Right? And the odds that the third one up, the woman just happens to be making the sign language line for X, that's impossible. Those are impossible odds. And this is why you have problems like what happened with the Royal Australia Commission. Watchtower is subliminally promoting CSA, right? When you look at this, what can you conclude beyond that? They're subliminally putting these messages in their literature because they want to groom pedophiles. They want grown men to start thinking about minors. That's why this stuff is subliminally in their literature. And perhaps they want young ones who are maybe being sexually abused to also subliminally maybe think that it's okay. But you see, this needs to get exposed. I believe that anybody that has this old songbook with the black guy in it, you should send this to any prosecutors that are prosecuting these cases of sexual child abuse against Jehovah's Witnesses, because these prosecutors and the judges in the Royal Australia Commission, they need to see this. They need to understand that this problem is beyond the people that are on trial. They need to understand that this organization is putting this stuff out there on purpose. They need to know this. Now, remember when Jeffrey Jackson was being questioned and how stupid he looked? Imagine if they asked him about this photo, right? Imagine they mention all 19 of these points. And Jeffrey Jackson's got to try to say each one of these things is a coincidence. Oh, just a coincidence that there's an S in the boy's sleeve. Oh, just a coincidence that when they changed the photo, they just by accident took the S out. Oh, just a coincidence that they removed the guy with the penis and put a white guy there. It's just a coincidence that the word sex happens to be spelled up. And what makes the word sex is this woman, just by a coincidence, it just happens to be signing the letter X out of 26 letters in the alphabet. And why is she signing in the first place? And it's just a coincidence that the little girl's also doing sign language, saying more and kiss on the lips. Along with the fact that the nipple's sticking out on the little girl, and she's got the bow tie on her private area, which I mentioned before what that's called, and the fact that the black guys happen to be staring at her. I mean, all the points mentioned in the last two videos, the fact that they're all singing the ah note, but the little girl's singing a completely different note, the O note. I mean, I'm not going to go through all those points, but if you're a Jehovah's Witness, how much more evidence do you need? I'm at point number 19. Do you need point number 119 to just finally accept the fact that this is deliberate? This is deliberate. So I just want to ask everybody watching this video, if you have that old songbook, I really think that's what we should do with these songbooks. Find out who's prosecuting these cases and let these prosecutors know what's going on, right? This stuff needs to be used as evidence. So we did the part of we're bringing it to light, we're exposing it, but now there has to be justice.